This is me, Aya again, and this is my friend Matt. Thank you for joining today. We're gonna talk about reality of working in Japan. We both worked in foreign company, foreign organization in Japan. So we're gonna talk about what is it like pros and cons, and let's do it. I work right now as a freelancer and work for multiple companies, but I worked in one Japanese company, two foreign companies, and one startup and one kind of big organization. And I have interesting stories too. And what about your?
I'm Matt. I'm from New York, outside of New York City, a place called Long Island. And I've been in Japan for a total of, I guess, 4.5 years now, about.
Okay.
Yeah. I first came here on the JET program.
So is it like ALT?
Yeah, so as an English teacher, JET program it's a program run by the Japanese government, where, you're assigned to location throughout Japan, not just Tokyo, but, you could be assigned anywhere, in the countryside, in the city, to teach English at public schools. So I was assigned to teach in a few elementary schools and a junior high school. So I was an English teacher then. That was my first 2 years in Japan, and then I went back to the U.S. coincidentally right before COVID. So I was in the U.S. during COVID, and then I came back after to finish up my master's degree. And since then, I've worked at 2 foreign companies in Japan.
So you lived in Yamagata as an English teacher.
Right, yeah.
Then when you moved to corporate world, when you start your corporate job, you started in Tokyo, right?
Yes.
Okay,
exactly.
okay. Yeah, so that's about it, like our introduction. And we both worked in foreign companies in Japan. And my experience is a lot of people think, working in Japanese company in Japan, it's like horrible. And yes, that can be, but I started in a startup, and like Japanese startup, and that was like, I think, greatest out of 3, like the best out of 3. And the second and third, I worked in a foreign company. Second one was okay because it's startup. I just didn't get along with the Japanese manager there. He was too traditional, and I moved to the third company. But inside of the company was super Japanese because they did M&A, Japan branch, and the managers, it was kind of too traditional. Like their mindset was still like 50s, 60s, and they use like print and fax machine, and they care about the micro details and the process oriented people, and I just didn't get along with it. So I became a freelancer that I can choose my client and my work environment and what I do. So much comfortable now. So my experience. And you worked in LLT, then second company, third company.
So this is after I finished my master's in business.
What year?
This was 2022.
Oh. Okay.
So I worked at a marketing agency, it was a foreign-run marketing agency that was started in Japan. So started by an expat in Japan. And then, so that was a marketing agency, and I currently work at a PR agency.
What do you say about like work environment in like foreign company in Japan? How was yours, like overall?
I think it depends on the culture. I think, so the first company that I worked at, the marketing agency, was, most of the people who worked there were foreigners, expats.
I remember that,
And there were a couple Japanese. So it was a very international environment to work in, which was nice. You get a lot of perspectives from around the world. I forget how many different nationalities it was, but it was a lot. It could also bring challenges of, communication barriers and whatnot. People coming from different places usually will sort of bring those challenges. But
Yeah.
I think it's more of a positive than a negative,
Okay.
having all those perspectives. And yeah, the I guess the way that we did.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Closer.
Okay. Like the way that we like the work environment in general and like handling work was pretty international. So I wouldn't really say that it probably wouldn't differ too much from if you were working at like an international agency in another country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, yeah, foreign company that was founded by foreigners in Japan sounds very international, but like what was the kind of cons? I've seen like my last two companies, they're Japanized the environment, how they say like system of salary benefit, they make it very Japanese way, bonus kind of thing. And Zangyo, do you know about Minashi Zangyo? Like fixed overtime.
Yeah.
I hate it. But at last company, it was black kyo, but I didn't need to do overtime. But the other department in the last company, what they do is they don't even use the HR like SaaS system. They use like spreadsheet. They work 8 to 8, and the commute time was 3 hours in total because the one way is like an hour and a half, and he works 12 hours, and he put 9 to 6 on the spreadsheet, and he worked 20 hours, to 12 hours because, well, they have the Minashi Zangyo fixed overtime. So Minashi Zangyo is like usually 20 to 40 hours per month, and if it exceed, they need to kind of report to their boss, direct boss, to get approval. So he didn't want to do that. So that he just put it 9 to 6 and work 12 hours. So that can happen in a foreign company.
Yeah, even in a foreign company, which is right. That's like one part of Japanese work culture that sometimes makes its way into even the foreign firms that are here. I didn't really have to deal with that too much at that agency that I was working at.
That's cool.
There are sort of cons, like, just working in Japan in general, a lot of companies will, have lower salaries than, let's say, the U.S.
Yeah. A lot lower.
Yeah. And the whole overtime scheme and whatnot, and of course, like some aspects of paperwork and things needing to be done with hanko or analog systems.
Yeah.
That even in foreign companies in Japan, I think you'll run into that.
Yeah, like my last company, I thought that was so international, but it was not. Even the country manager was a foreigner, and he loves Japan. That he does more Showa, like 50, 70 stuff than Japanese people because he loves it so much. So he sticks to that, and he loves paper.
Like a stapler.
Staple, Staple. And my manager, he hated me when I was just put the random. It's not too random, just some right or left. I don't remember the corner. I used the staple, and he was like, "No, it should be on the right, not the left, something." And like, I use the cloud system to share the document. It's easier, right? And it's easier to update and edit and share with the team. But I did that, and nobody said anything. But after that, he just told me,
you need to print it.
Yeah, you come. And in front of everyone, like 10 members, he's with a loud voice and very in a passive-aggressive way. He said, "Hey, you don't have the common sense. Where did you work at? And you should know all the stuff that, which is like very micro details that don't contribute to result." And like I was so, embarrassed, but nobody said anything because of the seniority system. That nobody said anything to boss. But that's a Japanese. That's not a Japanese company. That's a British company. Oh, that's overseas some foreign companies. you don't want to expect that everything is much better in foreign company because some of the companies like that love Japanese style and yeah.
True, yeah. I mean, I've only worked at 2 foreign companies here in Japan, but I would definitely say if you're coming to Japan to work at a foreign company because you want to avoid working at a Japanese company and avoid Japanese, work culture, I would not, expect that it's guaranteed that there will be no, Japanese work culture even in your international company here, because you'll have Japanese managers who have a different mindset, and that's fine. But I think it's good to just be aware of it, and after all, if you're in Japan, right? There's going to be aspects of work and aspects of your personal life and whatnot that you need to sort of adapt to. So just know that there will be some, even if you're coming in to work at a US company or British company.
Definitely. I asked so many people about like working. It's called gaishike, like foreign company in Japanese, and usually the bigger companies like I don't know Johnson and Johnson or Oracle, those stuff. They are like enterprise company. They tend to be very Japanese way, even though they're foreign company. But the pay is okay, good compared to the Japanese companies, and it tend to be more very foreign environment when it's in like startup, or maybe the Japan branch only had less than 100 people. So maybe you can choose that, or GAFA-M. That's they get paid well, and a lot of PTO and benefits. So I think I would recommend that. But I knew that right, but I entered this last company, and it wasn't as I expected. It was less than I think 50 full-time member in the Japan branch, and they were launching the new project. So I thought that was like more startup environment, but it was not like at all. But I felt the kind of Japanese vibes when it's in the second round of interview, because I went to their office and it was like なんか市役所みたいな感じだったの。なんか So how do you say Keikou? Like white, なんていうの light でなんかこうさ、なんていうのなんかさ区役所とかであるさなんかさ白い
Like the like lighting, you mean?
Yeah. なんていうのなんか
I don't know. There's not really a word for
that. Keikouってthere's some term.
Like the like fluorescent lighting or whatever.
Like, fluorescent lighting or whatever. They had that.
It's
and
like
then
the back rooms.
Yeah,
Do you know what that
background. Yeah, like Soko, right? Soko.
No. I move my hands too much while I talk because I'm Italian. Or I'm Italian American, so I move my hands.
So the office was, I'm gonna put that in the video, but one floor in very old area, like Kanda, Kanda? It's like very kind of Showa kind of vibes area. And one floor, and not even the room, like no partition, and everything is kind of public.
Just
and
all spread, one big spread of open floor, desk lines of desks.
Yeah, and then
with the bucho sitting at the end and looking at everyone.
So he can make sure, watch everyone's what they're doing and micromanagement and stuff. So, 風通しが悪い. I don't know how to explain that in English. You know what I'm saying? 風通しが悪い. Like physically and mentally. Like you cannot say what's on your mind. You kind of have to read between the line all the time. And what I have to say, what the bucho expect me to say.
Yeah,
like
it's
not
very,
it's
very
not
Japanese.
about myself, or it's not about like individual. It's about group and how you show respect to the older and like bucho, like people in the above. So I hated it. Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
That's tough to deal with. I haven't had to deal with that yet.
That's good thing.
I have had some, you know. So the company I work in now, I don't want to say too much about it, but basically, even though it's a foreign company, it is pretty Japanese in a way where a lot of our clients, you know, we work with their Japanese teams. Our clients are international companies that are in Japan as well, and we work with their Japanese teams. So we do have to, you know, interact in Japanese a lot with our clients, and then also, you know, our staff like are mostly Japanese, so we speak Japanese mostly in the office. And I think when you're just speaking Japanese, there's like a tendency to then, you know, have to, like, the communication style then sort of changes to Japanese style. Not for the worse. I think my company is very, you know, though we speak in Japanese a lot, I don't have to deal with any of those, you know, hardships that you were just talking about.
Yeah.
But that could happen. I could see how that could be the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, there of course there are, you know, challenges that come with that for someone like myself who, you know, grew up in the US. So I have to learn all these like business Japanese etiquette.
Yeah. For example, email. So people in Japan, a lot of times, both like personally and business wise, it's about positioning. So they ask your age up front. They say, "Oh, how old are you?" And then they can use the different languages. Oh, he's above or below. So it's about either looking up or looking down. That's what I'm seeing. And even in the email, you know the CC, like cover and copy, right?
Yep.
The order in the CC is very important. So you collect the meishi, business card. Business card is like extension of your body almost in Japan, and they see the company see the business card. Like let's say you got a 5 business card, and you kind of have to place in the order where like above people is like higher people in the first or something. So you gotta deal with that. Yeah. So CC, even the CC, carbon copy, they care about it. And,
it's something that I had to learn when I mean, more than, I wouldn't say learn, just, you know, get used to. It's something you just naturally pick up and then start to do. And there are a bunch of things like that. You know, I still mess up a lot, and I can't really, you know, I'm not. I wouldn't say that I like picked all those up like right away, but I think it's more just like a little by little, you know. It's like learning a language, right? But then this is just like an extension of that, right? Because it's like more like there's physical things to do as well, like when you get in a taxi, like the like least senior person sits in the front, which is like in the US. That would be the opposite, I would think. That, like, you know, well, if you have a driver and you're sitting in the back, that's a different story. But like if you're with a group of people, you know, a lot of times people want to sit in the front
because you have your own space. You
have your own space, and you know, you're not squished in, and you know, so the most senior person would have the choice, like, oh, I want to sit in the front, and you let them sit in the front. But yeah, in Japan it's different, right?
Yeah, different. Also, the seat. So, なんていうかな、なんか
Oh, like in a business meeting, like which side of the table you sit on.
It's client or above.
Yeah.
Or so above means either within the company, it's like bucho, like it's just easier to imagine for you. But for a client, whoever is paying is higher. So that's how they position, and or higher or guest, so the company leads them to なんだっけ? I forgot the term, but like certain side, and even that side, there's a order of who sits.
Yes.
You
closest to the door.
Yeah.
right? Like the client always sits on with their back, with the client sits facing the door, they exit, and the you know, the person who is like, you know, entertaining that client sits with their back to the exit.
Yeah.
And then of course, like, even, you know, in, let's say people are sitting at a table, then the closest seat horizontally to the door will also be like designated to the least senior person or something, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, I still like I said, I'm not like an expert on this. I'm just like, these are things I'm realizing and slowly picking up. It's very tough, but
yeah, it's tough.
It's interesting, and I mean, you know, in a lot of cases, it can be a lot. It could be, you know, a bit too much to deal with, but it depends on, you know, what kind of work environment you're looking for, and I don't really have to deal with too much of the, you know, Japanese formalities, so I'm lucky.
That's good for you.
And I think there's a good balance at where I work right now.
Yep.
But there can be work environments where
so
you have to deal with that a lot.
I would say it's so end of day it's Japan. So most of the time even the foreign companies' clients will be like foreign companies or Japanese company, and even the foreign company has the Japanese stuff. So we have to kind of follow the rule too, but maybe not all the time, but you still have to do that. And yeah, it also depends on the industry, and the easiest way is like to kind of discover that what's like is it like to the environment is like in your next company is that you visit their office, and you can kind of feel the vibes. And last time I felt the like very negative vibes, but I'm like, I need to join the company as soon as possible. So I just ignored. But the things that I felt in the second meeting was everything. So I recommend that you believe in your instincts. So it says, you can believe yourself, and you can tell. And also maybe you care about the industry and the clients of the company. It matters a lot. So my last company was event related, and event companies sounds like entertaining and fun, but it's actually not, because their stakeholders are 人材派遣 like very traditional and なんていうかな、真面目 like serious companies. So the company I worked the last time have to kind of follow in that way, so their client's way. So that matters a lot. So maybe you can choose the industry or company thinking of, who's gonna be the client for that company. So what about your thought on that? Like,
I think that's,
clients matter. Clients matter for me.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important to consider when you are, you know, looking to start a new job. Looking at the clients of whatever company it is that you might join. A lot of times that maybe is not disclosed to you, or maybe, you know, only a little bit. So, you know, that I don't think that's something that you base your entire decision off of. But you know, if there are any like blatant red flags, or like you think, like that company is not really gonna, you know, that's not really the kind of company that I want to be working with, then I would say that's an important thing to consider.
Yeah. What else did you kind of when you were looking at your new environment, what was your kind of point that you were considering? どういうポイントを見てたか?
Well, I wanted to, you know, I definitely wanted to, at the time, I wanted to stick to a foreign company. And, you know, it's hard to tell what the culture will be.
Yeah.
even just through interviews. But you know, I didn't at the time. I didn't think I was ready at all to work at like an all Japanese company. I still don't think I am, even after, you know, learning all these new you know, ways of interaction and communication. And Japanese, of course, is a whole other story, like just the language, you know, business, Keikou and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I think as a foreigner in Japan, you know, most people are going to be looking to find a job at a foreign company, right? I don't think there's so many that are looking to work at Japanese
I don't
companies.
think so. Because they
I guess
can already imagine, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like I think I'm like most other people in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, there wasn't really too many like specific points that I was looking for, but I wanted to stay in like the industry. You know, PR is similar to marketing, so similar sort of work. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And
Cool.
and then of course I did want to speak Japanese, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is it? So you know, you told me that you use like 80% of like a Japanese,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure you improved your Japanese a lot. And
it did, yeah. It's still, you know, a work in progress, but you know, my last company, the marketing agency, all of our work was very, like I said, international, so all of our work was in English. And it was nice to, you know, be able to speak Japanese a lot where I am now and get better at the language. I felt like I was getting worse at Japanese when I was working at the other company.
yeah, you told me.
Yeah, so it's good to be able to practice. Basically, you know, work becomes sort of like study in a way,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah. You don't have to. You get paid to learn the language.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like, you know, I'm using the company to study Japanese, but like, yeah, it's an environment where you can learn and grow, right? And that's important to me. I think it's important to a lot of people, but for me, one of the areas that I like to continuously grow in is Japanese ability. So that was a big perk.
Yeah. You mentioned a good point. Yeah, I'm like that too. Like I improved my English in Japan, working in foreign companies and having foreign clients. Like so, I keep using professional English even in Japan. So, all my work right now, like 90%, I use English.
Yeah.
And my personal life, I have like half foreigners and half Japanese people. And right now, I mainly hang out with foreigners because of the timing schedule. Yeah, it's easy to match. So I keep improving my English. Also, content creation is helping me a lot too. So yeah, there's a way for me improving Japanese English in Japan. But working in kind of Japanese immersed environment. Yeah, as a foreigner. So that's good way too. Yeah, and I think from my experience, I went to language school in Canada, and now I work in English. And the one, like, if you work professionally and get paid and use a foreign language, that's the best way of learning the new language, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, if you pay for school and go, learn it from textbook, it's cool for the basic, but actual, like, street language, how do I say street, なんていうの? なんだっけ, street language, do you say that?
Like
textbook language and
like casual, like practical.
Yeah, practical, actual language. You use that with your friends and work environment. So, yeah, using the language in the workplace is the best way, and you get paid too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like to get to the point where you can use it in the workplace at like a minimum level takes a bit to get to that level, right?
Yeah.
But once you get to that level where you're comfortable enough to use that language, then I think working using it at work, using the language at work is an easy way to get very good.
Yeah, yeah, agree.
And of course, not just speaking and listening, right? So, if you have to write emails, then that's a good way to get better at writing as well. And my Japanese writing was terrible
Oh yeah?
when
I didn't know.
yeah, I mean, like, when would I have had to write Japanese? Like, really
確かに。
never. There's not really any. I mean, other than when I took Japanese back in college for like 2 years only, I took it. But since then, I haven't had to write, other than like, writing like Jiko PR on my resume or something, my Rirekisho.
I can't believe you wrote the 自己 PR for your Rirekisho.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing that I can maybe talk about at some point. But like the Japanese resumes are very, it's literally
Wow.
like there's one way to do it and you have to abide by
Yeah, maybe I should make a video of it, like the difference between like CV
Yeah.
and the Japanese kind of Rirekisho. Yeah, it's
think-
a lot different.
it. I think people who are trying to work in Japan would benefit from that. Maybe,
yeah.
it's necessary in a lot. Even if you apply to a foreign company in Japan, a lot of times they'll ask for both.
Yeah.
I think.
履歴書 and 職務経歴書.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Wow. Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
where I am now, I can write in Japanese. I have to write emails in Japanese, and that's it's a good way to improve.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Wow, nice. So maybe, yeah, that's everything. But I wanna kind of wrap it up. So maybe, yeah, any advice for like both sides, for people who wanna work in Japan or live in Japan. But yeah, we talk about reality and okay. From my side, yeah. As we already discussed, like foreign company in Japan doesn't mean it's better. Yeah, I thought it's better, but it could be worse or better. And my like my last company, like foreign company in Japan, it was much more Japanese, like bad Japanese environment than my first company that was the Japanese startup. That was much better. Like it's like foreign kind of vibes, but so foreign doesn't mean bad, like good, or Japanese company doesn't mean always bad. It's at the end of the day, it's about industry and the company itself. Yeah, so that's my So you wanna do research, and my recommendation is to get referral and join the company. That's the best way. And if you cannot do it, you ask the interviewer to, like, if you can visit their office and see members, and you feel the vibes. And I knew the vibes that it's gonna be bad, but I joined it anyway, and it was bad. So I could tell. So you can probably tell if you visit their office in person. So that's my advice. So yeah, and also, whom worry about, oh, do I need to speak Japanese in? Oh, you wanna choose foreign company for a better environment, like a salary, also Japanese ability, or do I need to use the Japanese? And yeah, it also depends. So some foreign company really requires the Japanese skills, like where he works, or my last company was half and half, and it really depends. So you can always ask the recruiter or the company. So yeah, foreign company doesn't mean like you don't need it English or better pay or a better environment. At the end of the day, it's about the company. So that's my advice. Yeah, and what's yours?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think the last part about Japanese is true. I think even if you don't need Japanese for work, like even if you can find, it'll depend a lot on what kind of work you do too. A lot of like software engineers or people working in IT may not need Japanese as much in Japan, but of course there are a lot of places that do require Japanese. But even if you don't need Japanese for whatever work you find in Japan, learning Japanese is pretty essential to making the most out of your time here. If you're living in a country, being able to speak the language it opens a lot of doors in your
Yeah.
personal life.
Yeah.
So let's say you already got the job locked in. If you want to fully enjoy your life here, I think learning Japanese is very essential.
Yeah, I would imagine. So my foreign friends, like half of them they are fluent in Japanese, and there's half of them they don't know like any Japanese at all. And the one who don't know the language, they kind of stick with only foreigners, and they don't know the core culture of Japanese, and they just stick with the some foreign environment in Japan and still living 5 years, and they just gonna continue, which is okay. But I mean, it's Japan, so we have more good stuff. So I wish they knew by knowing the language. Yeah, so that's
Yeah, I mean, and like, of course, like, I'm not saying like you need to like become an expert at Japanese like as soon as you get here or like before you even get here, but like when I came here on the JET program, I couldn't speak Japanese really at all.
wow. You improved a lot then.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, living in the countryside helps, of course, but I also put in a lot of like self-study as well for like kanji and whatnot.
Wow.
But as long as you're like making some sort of effort to like learning and putting it to use, but by putting it to use in practical situations, not just like in a classroom or writing in a textbook, I think it's important to enjoy your time here.
Yeah, agree.
And then other than Japanese, I think just come if you're coming to Japan to work, even if it's a foreign company, just like Aya said, don't expect it to be like as if you were working at that company's office in the US.
Yeah.
So even if it's it's the same company, but it's in Japan, so that means there's going to be Japanese aspects that you may not have may not have foreseen. And I think it's important to just be aware of that.
Totally agree. Yeah. So I think that's about it. Yeah. So thank you for sharing your experience. And we are using Matt's song actually right now. So I'm gonna put his contact information and SoundCloud and all that. So hit him up if anything. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything free from your side?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. That's everyone. So thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.